In response to all this obvious abuse of authoritarian power by the administration, this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, there will be 2,500 rallies across the United States under the banner of the No Kings protest. All right? Saturday. Check your local listings. It's No Kings, or as the Republicans are calling it,
this Hate America rally that they have coming up for October 18th.
Hate America, it's No Kings. America does not like kings. There are only 3 good kings in America: Gail, Stephen, and Berger.
Welcome back to another episode of Concepts of a Pod. We are now days away from the second iteration of the No Kings protests, which New Digital Now is fortunate enough to be a member of the National Organizing Coalition for, along with our friends at the Blue Anchor Project. And we have our friend Liam here to tell you a little more about what's going into the final stages of the preparations for No Kings Day, and more importantly, to take some questions from our supporters. And we put out a call for questions over the last couple days. We read through every question people submitted and compiled some of what we thought were the most useful, important, and encompassing of the general attitude of the supporters. And we are going to answer some of those questions for you here on the podcast. Liam and I have been working with the National Organizing Coalition directly to put together some of the coordination between the various cities putting these protests together. And then, Shayna, I believe you are going to the protest in Chicago.
Yep, I will be there in Chicago, and if you see me, make sure you say hello, and I will be bringing a poster again with all of your comments, filling up both sides, because I want to make sure that I'm bringing all of you and your comments and your great words of wisdom to the protest with me.
And we're co-hosting the Boston event, so I'll be down in Boston once again. We have nationwide about 2,500 plus events, not only in the country, but worldwide. And I undoubtedly will probably on the phone with Australia again, or Canada, one of the two, while we're chatting.
That's amazing. And we are looking forward to regrouping after the protests to recap everything that goes on and what we're doing next. But in the meantime, let's dive right in with our supporter questions. And the first and most frequent question we got from our supporters is, where can I find my protest? How do I get there? How can disabled people participate? All of those logistical questions you may have if you want to be there, as thousands of our supporters now have said they're going to be. And for that, we have a link down below and at the bottom of every one of our web pages where you can find your No Kings protests takes you right to the homepage. But Liam, is there any more information people should know about that?
The easiest thing is to go to nokings.org, and it's right there. You find your own event, and it gives you the closest event, the event that's easiest for you to access, and you can even filter them to how accessible they are. They're all pretty much going to be outside as far as I know of, so they should be very accessible and very easy to see. The anchor events are going to be great because there's going to be lots of big screens and very good amplification. And the small events, depending on where they are, whether it's your local town one or larger ones, tons and tons of people are going to be there. Just like the ones in Ipswich, Massachusetts, where we have a lot of volunteers based out of. That's one of our hubs. There's already 2,000 or so people signed up. And that's in a retirement community. So it's going to be everywhere. Tons of people. You're going to have a very easy time being able to get there. Everyone is willing to be able to help you. People want to lift each other up, and they want to make sure that you are included and that collectively we have the ability to make wonderful, lovely change and to make good trouble at the same time.
Yeah, and if you sign up on the No Kings website, organizers from your local event will be in contact. You'll get all the information you need right to you.
And you can sign up either through blueanchorproject.com or No Kings, New Digital Now. There's so many names, I can't keep track of them all the time, Jordan, Shayna. But yes, either of our websites will lead directly to nokings.org, and we'll be able to get into some good trouble together and be able to have a lovely, fun time.
Yeah, and one other thing to point out compared to last time we did this on the day of Trump's military parade is that there will be an event in Washington, D.C. this time. So if you're in the DMV area or you can make it here and want to stick it right to Trump right outside the White House, you can do that now.
And the DMV is the DC, Maryland, Virginia area,
Yes.
not your actual DMV. Please don't go there unless you have to, because
I didn't know what that stood for until just now, but I never thought about it.
Oh, wow, I'm way too inside the Beltway. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. That's fine.
On that note, we are going to move on to our next supporter question, which I've been asking myself, and I think we've been working on doing something about. Why are we not having more frequent protests? Trump is moving fast to destroy democracy, and we only manage to protest en masse every few months. He and his pals aren't impressed, and I couldn't agree more. I think you guys saw that clip where Trump literally said the Democrats are giving up.
I thought would be met with fury on the left, but they're sort of giving up, I must be honest with you. I really thought that we were going to have to sort of fight it through. There's been no fight. There's been no fight.
I have a lot of thoughts on this. I obviously believe and hope that more people can go out and protest all the time, but getting to protest is a privilege. And I really, really, really think that that is something that people forget about. And I'm not saying it's a privilege just in the sense of that it's a First Amendment right, that we have the right to peacefully gather and protest, but also that we all have lives outside of this. And there's lots of families who have small children or they're, working multiple jobs to make ends meet. You're working, really late at night or really early in the morning. It is a privilege to be able to go and protest. I really, really want to make sure that was said first, but also if you can go and protest, I promise you there are lots and lots of protests happening everywhere. I live in the middle of Chicago and I have a lot of parks around me. There are almost always people protesting at every single one of the parks along the big streets every single day here. They're not huge, there's not always hundreds of people, but there's people standing with signs and encouraging people to join them. There are lots of protests everywhere. And there's also, depending if you live in bigger cities such as Chicago or Portland or Memphis, there's big ICE detention facilities in those places too, in the metro areas. There's always protests every day happening there 24/7. There's lots of protests everywhere. If you can't find one or you're, the only one that you feel like can go and protest, go do it yourself. I promise it will make a difference and others will join you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I live in D.C., which has now been swarmed by the National Guard and every federal agency under the sun.
That's why I mentioned Portland, Chicago, and Memphis specifically.
Oh, yeah, no, but couple ideas for those cities now that DC's been dealing with this for a little bit. Some of the most clever protests I've seen. First of all, at Union Station in DC, the train station where they've had the National Guard take over, I've seen a protest tent that has been there consistently, and people just come and go. I think some guy's standing there in a mask doing stand-up, roasting the federal agents. It's hilarious.
Why does everybody in the National Guard have that porn mustache from the 70s? You guys look like Bottom Gun. Anyways, it's good to be here in Iraq. No, I'm just kidding. This is like Comic-Con out here. I love the National Guard, or as I like to call them, the Washington Commanders. The Commanders have a little bit of a better record at the moment. The U.S. military, they went about 0-20 years in the Middle East recently. Now, we just created a bunch of power vacuums over there, which is not a Dyson product, unfortunately. I think the National Guard and the Coast Guard should just play a volleyball game and then kiss. Let's get it over with. Okay, we're having a good time.
Some of the other ways that protests have been happening too is that when National Guard troops or ICE agents are looking for hotels to stay in, hotels have been not letting them book. Restaurants are choosing to not serve the federal agents and Border Patrol and ICE agents. Those are also forms of protest. Just standing there and like yelling or going and marching are not the only ways of protesting.
Yeah, whoever thought, is that the Third Amendment? The one about quartering soldiers?
Yeah, you don't have
Hold
to.
on.
Yep, that is the Third Amendment.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the Third
No,
Amendment.
the pocket constitution. I love it.
So there's lots of ways, and other ways that if you can't physically go in person to a protest, a way of protesting is also choosing where you spend your money. If there are specific stores or companies that like actively support Donald Trump or Republicans or continually donate to them, you can shop other places if you're able to. Support more of your small businesses, but check to make sure if your small businesses, are pro-democracy or not. There are so many little ways that you can choose to protest in your life every day. And I hope that there's some ideas that you guys can start to get rolling, to make sure that you're continuing to protest more in your own way, because it does work. We need everybody doing small collective actions to make even bigger actions happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're a Star Wars fan, one other thing you can do that I have seen that has been incredible, if you see the National Guard or some ICE guys around, just take out your phone and play the Imperial March on speaker.
I've seen those. I love it. I have a speaker. I'm going to have to do that when I'm next in DC.
Have a boombox on your shoulder.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
My God, boombox? Jeez, I haven't seen one of those in years. But yes, there's going to be a lot of good trouble happening on October 18th, and it's going to be really fascinating to see it. Last time when I was part of the Boston crowd, it was also Pride, and it's really empowering to see just how people were so energized and wanting to be involved in all of this. So this time around, to have this much traction and energy even beforehand. I mean, last week is when we hit the 2,500 mark, and now it's not less than a week, and we're even getting higher than that. So just the amount of acceleration and traction, this is going to be by far the largest mass protest since the beginning of our country.
Yeah.
That's what I am predicting.
I know No Kings set that record the first time on June, was it the 14th?
Yes, 14th.
And fingers crossed we can do it again. The enthusiasm coming from our support base tells me that we will be able to. I've been seeing even more enthusiasm in the lead up than I did the first time back in June.
Same with us. We've had a lot of enthusiasm on our side of the house as well. Tons of our supporters want to be involved. Tons of supporters actually either hosting them themselves or going to be attending. It's really cool to be able to see just how many people want to be involved, especially within our little coalition of things. I think between you and I, how many voters have we reached so far, Jordan and Shane? I know we've reached about 250,000 to 500,000 voters so far
like
just this year. Yeah. So
I know
combined,
we've hit
almost
over
1 million.
100,000 Democratic donors. I know you guys are more focused on the voter base, and our focus is more on galvanizing Democratic supporters. And that, too, is the power of this coalition, that we have so many different organizations on our partner list. It's us, it's Blue Anchor Project, and there are so many other amazing...
We actually are growing it. We have a little bit of announcement that we are going to be jointly announcing after No King's Day that has been in the works, so we will all keep you in touch. I can say that our coalition will be growing in the midterm elections coming up, and our goal is to be able to make sure that some good candidates can win in 2026.
Looking forward to hearing more about that.
That, and I can say we're going to be launching our Democracy Hub right after No King's Day, which is going to be kind of an upgrade for what we already have. So right now, you can contact your representative or elected official through our website. You can fill out your concerns, and we'll send them directly to them. You're able to fill out our survey, what your concerns are in general. You can also request if you want a town hall event in your area, if you want to volunteer with us. We're going to be adding much more to that. We're going to be adding voting tools, Know Your Rights tools. We're going to be linking directly with some ACLU stuff as well. And we're basically going to have it as a democracy hub. So not only can you know how to protect your rights, but you know how to directly engage in your democracy. And we're really trying to make sure that through our coalition, that we have a solid understanding of how you can get involved and how you know how to get involved and to be able to reclaim your power as a citizen of the United States of America and not let the totalitarian dipshits that are trying to take over right now win.
Yeah, and we are really looking forward to introducing all of that to you after No King's Day so we can carry on that momentum. But before we get to that, with all of the incredible energy that is building around this protest, there is one question that supporters have asked that I think is important to address. Leading up to this weekend, somebody asked if the Trump administration sends ICE or other federal law enforcement to the protests, what should we do? Leave, stay silent? What should we do?
Well, what the national folks have told us, and what I have through my conversations with being both a national partner and being on the communications team, this is the instructions that we have that I would love to be able to share with the supporters here to make sure that you know your rights going into this. Call these kind of like the 6 Ds. So the first one is document. You want to be able to document every single thing that is happening right now and make sure that you're live on social medias or recording. Make sure that you are from a safe distance recording this, but write down key information of who are the officers that are getting involved, or who is the person, if it's a group, not a police officer or an ICE official. Make sure that you can document all of that information so that you know exactly what is happening, and that in case anything happens, you have it there. And also, you are ensuring that others can see it so that it's not going to be silenced. Secondly, make sure that there is some distance. You want to ensure that there is a safe distance between what's going on and yourself. And you also want to delegate. You want to work with a buddy or allies that you are standing next to, and make sure that you don't do anything by yourself. That is very much what they are going to try to do. They're going to try to isolate. They're going to try to inflame a situation, especially where none exists. You want to make sure that you are together on this. If it comes to it, you want to distract. So you want to direct that attention elsewhere, depending upon that situation. And then if it's possible, delay. You want to wait it out if that's an option as well. And if it does come to direct intervention, God forbid, I'm going to read precisely what's on this so that you know exactly. You want to use open, non-threatening body language. Hands are visible and empty. Make sure that you are actively listening. Make sure that you lower your volume and you have very slow movements. And do not touch angry people or law enforcement officials. And make sure that you use appropriate content for the situation, and be flexible. That can either be singing, chanting, talking. Make sure that what you are doing is non-threatening in any way, shape, or form. They are going to try to use, especially if it's ICE, they are going to do everything in their power to claim it's a threatening situation. So the best that you can do is, as a group, make sure that you are as non-threatening, but that you are supportive and assertive of your rights in that situation. So don't be passive aggressive. Don't be that driver on the highway that does nothing and then gets very angry. Just breathe, and you want to assess the situation. And you want to choose if you are going to be involved, and then how. And then you want to follow those 6 Ds of de-escalate. And then the only time that you're going to escalate the problem is if you feel that it has to happen, but that escalation goes through organizers on the ground. If you're able to find anybody in a yellow vest or any type of yellow-orange vest that has host or host coordination committee, anybody who's directly involved on the staff on the ground, communicate with them immediately if you see anything happening. At every single protest across the country, there is a designated safety person on hand. All hosts are required to have mandatory, including me, I've taken the mandatory host training that we are provided by the ACLU. You can go on the website of nokings.org and you can find that ACLU training yourself. I would highly recommend doing it. It's very, very worthwhile understanding exactly how to go about this to make sure that you are doing everything in your power to make sure that the authoritarians do not win. And the other thing that I cannot stress enough is be honest and be yourself. Don't let them try to scare you, intimidate you. You are there as part of a group, whether that is one person, 2 people, 1,000, 1,000,000 people.
Yeah, and most importantly, stay peaceful, stay legal. I think that's a pretty good summary for where we want to be and how we want to approach this. And just to put any doubt to rest, we were actually asked one question that I think the answer was covered previously, but I just want to say it one more time to make sure we reiterate and are crystal clear on this. One of our supporters said, I have a hand taser for self-defense that I intend to bring for myself in case of violence. Is defending oneself from harm while protesting against the law? And while defending yourself is not against the law, that is not what we want to be doing here. And Liam, correct me if I'm wrong, but the organizers of No King's Day have said that they do not want any weapons brought to these protests, even in open carry states, even if it is legal. They don't want them anywhere, right?
No, please leave your weapon at home. The weapon that, if you want to bring, your voice. That's it. You are not allowed to bring any type of weapon, whether that is a taser, whether that is a baton, whether that is a hammer, shovel, nothing.
We're not doing that.
Especially not a gun. Please don't.
No.
Please don't. It's not going to be helpful in any way, shape, or form, and you have a greater chance of hurting others around you by having that on your person. It gives anybody who is trying to be a bad actor the excuse to cause harm. That is the last thing that we want, or the last thing that we need to have happen to this movement.
Yeah, not to mention it also gives Breitbart, Newsmax, the New York Post, anyone else, Donald Trump, an opportunity to take your picture with that stupid weapon, plaster it all over Truth Social, and talk about how you are the Antifa agitator who's turned this protest into a terrorist movement.
And then, Liam, if there is something that you would like to do to protect yourself, what are appropriate things that you can bring or wear to protect yourself at these protests?
Make sure that you wear any type of bright colors. The National Coalition is recommending wearing yellow or any sort of bright color to represent the colors of the movement, of the No King's Day movement. Don't get me started. I have my thoughts on that one. I am
want to see it in
working
red,
on
white,
this.
and blue.
Please.
What about things like protective goggles or masks?
Yes, that I think I would recommend wearing masks, wearing hats. If you feel that you need to protect yourself, your identity, and that sort of way, please do. But as long as you are there to be able to support each other, that is the key thing. And also think of it from an image point of view. Do you feel comfortable having your presence there known with having either a ski mask on, whether that is having a shield on, that type of thing? Because as Jordan was saying, there are going to be people taking photos, whether that is intentional or unintentional. This is not just about yourself. This is about the movement in general. We are working on trying to create a mass movement across this country to ensure Donald Trump does not become a king. He is rapidly consolidating his power, but we have the power to stop him. And for us, that is now, but that is also going to be in 2026. He is actively laying the stepping stones to stop 2026, that election, from happening. So you need to be very mindful of how are you going to want to be perceived, not only for yourself, but for the movement in general.
Those are some great pieces of advice. Thank you so much, Liam. Again, safe, legal, peaceful. Want to make sure that's repeated like many, many times.
I will stamp it and get a tattoo in my forehead. Don't make me, but I will.
Man, I don't know if that would look good, but...
No, I'm joking. Obviously, I'm not a tattoo person. But that is something, just make sure that you are staying safe and that you are making decisions that you feel comfortable making. And don't rush into a decision. Those types of environments may feel right in the moment, but always take a step back and assess the situation, assess the scene. The best way I can think about it is as if you are stepping into a media interview. How do you want it to be phrased? You're going on a blank slate into an environment that is there that you can craft with your other friends, that you're undoubtedly going to make friends at a protest. I always make friends at a protest. And protests are not supposed to be an angry event. They are there because you are frustrated, which is perfectly valid, but that frustration is used to go into something positive.
And it's shared with so many other people. You're
and
all there together.
You feel empowered, and that turns into a positive. And all these negative forces in the world, that's why they stop peaceful protests, because they're peaceful in nature, but they're effective. Just look at what Martin Luther King Jr. did.
Yeah.
He turned a nonviolent, peaceful protest into a movement that made the civil rights movement and laws happen. That is what is so key about these things. This nonviolent but persistent action is what makes long-lasting change. And this is only No King's Day 2. We're going to have No King's Day 3 and more on it.
And that's a really good point you make, Liam, about the media awareness of all of this and how it's perceived by both national and global press. And it actually ties into another question that one of our supporters asked. They said, I feel like the word has not gotten out about the No Kings 2 protests because of the shutdown, ICE, and all the other attention grabbers out there. No Kings isn't news until the day of the demonstration. What are the organizers doing to get the word out into mainstream awareness?
You have no idea how many pitch things we are doing. We have multiple conversations. I mean, we now, going into this week, we have daily comms team meetings on helping make sure that communication is active, that there's getting the word out not only in person, but especially on the media side. There's a whole digital team engaging. As my work on both the comms team and the celebrity outreach team, we are working in every single avenue possible. I think now we have tons of celebrities. I think we even have Sally Fields did a video, Robert De Niro has done a video, Elizabeth Banks just did a video as well. We have Sophia Bush involved. There is so many. I've even reached out to Cher and Lady Gaga's people. Haven't heard anything back, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they want to be involved in this sense. There's a lot of us wanting to be involved, not only on this little old civilian side of the house and nor political side, but celebrity. Everybody wants to be involved. And I think the word is spreading. Not many people are talking about the shutdown, so much so as they really want to make action and make some change. We're seeing this more or less of this movement is, they call it, I love how the Trump and the MAGA folks have always called themselves the silent majority. They are not. They are the imbecilic, very loud minority. The actual true silent majority are the ones that are supporting and creating No King's Day events, whether they are organizing them, whether they are attending them. The true silent majority of America is anti-Trump. I really want to make sure people understand that. And that's something that we all need to talk about more, is that we all have backroom, backdoor, in your kitchen, in your living room, with friends, family, complete strangers online, talking about how we do not like the direction of our country. We do not like Trump. And heck, even in my conversations with international media folks, whether that was back in June or this last week and this week already, nobody is liking the direction our country is going, especially what's happening with Trump. I mean, I was doing an interview with a German reporter, and two actually, and they cannot stand what's happening with Trump because to them it's repeating exactly what happened in their history. It's very frightening. And I was actually talking to a former professor of mine at UMaine, and they described what's happening right now is a combination of Hitler's 1930 Germany combined with Stalinism around the 1950s, and then you combine it with what's happening right now with the whole Yeltsin constitution and Putin. It's all a combination of all of those things as
Sounds
one,
like a
and
great
that's
place
Trump.
to be.
Mega fascism.
Oh, what's the thing that John Oliver says? Reality and normalcy is way up here, and we're here. I say regular normalcy is back up at the moon at this point, and we're just diving deeper down into the depths of hell. We've gotten so bad that Marjorie Taylor Greene is seeming a tad bit sane right now.
We need to be careful with that, though, because we need to watch the stuff she's saying on right-wing media and see how closely it's
saying
aligning.
Like the two things that she has said that I agree with are two more things that I thought I would ever agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Broken clocks right twice a day.
Yeah. And what Liam mentioned about the civil rights movement is that things take time. And when you continually and persistently talk to people about things, it will eventually change their perspective. This is something I've talked about a lot. You will never change someone's mind right off the bat, but by continuing to add to their perspective, they're going to swing one way or the other. There's truth that, a broken clock is right twice a day, but also, if someone tries to put a little bit of work into the clock and they go see what's actually going on the inside, it might be able to change and start working properly. And I think that it's something that we're going to really, really start to see en masse coming up in the midterms and the presidential in 2028. But to answer the supporter comment, I promise you, protesting, it does work. Things take time. Progress takes time. And time is the only thing that you can't speed up. But the more that we consistently and persistently push for progress, it'll make things happen. So I hope that gives some people some hope and that this message will get out to more people. And I hope that we'll see you at the protest. If you see us, come say hello to Chicago. If you see me, I will have a neon pink sign covered in supporter comments. I'll probably be wearing a lot of voting gear too, and a blue hat and bright colors. So if you see me, come say hi.
And
I know
not yellow, because
Yeah.
we're sensible people.
And I know
one thing
that-
I did... Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you see any, if you see Liam there, make sure you go say hi to him. If you have friends that want to go, bring more people. When you show up in mass, that is how things change.
Did you see that Republicans are on Fox News right now blaming the organizers of No King's Day for the government shutdown? They're
And
saying
not the
that
fact that
losers.
here's one of the broken clocks, right twice a day moments from Marjorie Taylor Greene, was that I don't remember which news station it was on, mentioned that the Republicans have control of both sides of Congress and the executive branch and the judicial branch.
Yeah. Let's be clear about that. Just going to get very parliamentarian for a second here because it's important. Nobody's ever going to cover this, and there's never going to be any stories about this because we only whine about legislative minutia when Democrats are in power. But if you remember from when Biden had power, we avoided government shutdowns by using budget reconciliation to keep the government funded. Budget reconciliation is a process Congress can use once a year to pass a budget outside of the filibuster. And the reason Republicans can't do that with their majority now is because they used it to ram through the one big BS bill to give ICE $150 billion in funding and a whole other bunch of goodies that are now the reason they can't do a budget reconciliation bill for the purpose that process was intended.
And once again, this is just another great example of how government was built to make sure that regular people like us don't understand how it works. And that's why we're here trying to explain some of it to you guys.
I think that takes us really nicely into the final supporter question we have for today, which is there a specific message for signs besides No Kings? And I know everyone has their own messaging. We are actually going to open that question up to the crowd. And in the link on this video, there is a place for supporters to put their protest sign ideas. We're going to send out a message with all of the best ideas that we get, put some of them on our own signs. Shayna, I know you'll be bringing a bunch of supporter quotes to the Chicago protests.
I will as well, and I will be judging which one is the funniest and which one is the best. So the sassy gay man is going to be checking on you. So make sure they're good and creative because we can't have any bland ones.
Yeah, we'll be having that contest on the follow-up episodes. So
yes,
submit your ideas and stay tuned. Looking forward to seeing you at the No Kings protests on Saturday. Looking forward to hearing all about your experiences. If you can't make it or if you don't feel safe protesting, feel free to put your sign ideas down below and someone else will carry your words for you because we are all in this together and we cannot do this without all of your support. So thank you all so much.
Yes,
thank you
all
so much for having me on.
Always.
I appreciate it.
Always.
Yes, thank you. And remember, peaceful, legal, your voice is the most powerful thing you can have there.
Thank you all.
We're going to get into some good trouble. I know it.
Yeah. And we will see you next time.